think you're being smart, careful, responsible, safe. Every time you choose not to spend, not to risk, not to move, you tell yourself the same story: I'm protecting my future. But what if that safety is the very thing slowly destroying it? What if the habit you're most proud of is the one keeping you stuck? Because the truth is, saving doesn't always make you secure. Sometimes it makes you invisible. And invisible people don't win. They just survive for a while, until even that starts slipping. You've been taught to believe that holding on is strength. Don't spend too much. Don't take big risks. Don't step outside the line. Just build a cushion. Stay safe. But nobody told you what happens when that cushion turns into a cage. Because safety feels good at first. No stress, no pressure, no uncertainty, but also no growth, no expansion, no real change. And slowly, without noticing, you stop playing to win. You start playing not to lose. That's the shift. That's where it begins. Not with a big failure, not with a dramatic collapse, but with quiet decisions, small ones, repeated daily, choosing comfort over challenge, predictability over possibility, security over potential. And every time you do that, you shrink. Oh, not physically, but psychologically. You become the version of yourself that avoids, that hesitates, that waits. And waiting feels harmless until you realize you've been waiting your whole life. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Saving money isn't the problem, but hiding behind it is. Because saving gives you the illusion of progress. You feel productive. You feel disciplined. You feel in control. But control is addictive, and once you get used to it, you stop tolerating uncertainty. And uncertainty is where everything valuable lives. Opportunities, growth, wealth, confidence. All of it requires stepping into the unknown. But you've trained yourself to avoid it. You've built a life around minimizing risk. And now, risk feels like danger, even when it's the only way forward. Think about it. How many times have you said, I'll do it when I'm ready. I just need a little more saved. I'll take the leap later, later, waiter. That word has quietly stolen more dreams than failure ever could, because later feels responsible. Later feels mature. Later feels safe. But later is just fear disguised as logic. And fear is patient. It doesn't need to stop you all at once. It just needs to delay you, one decision at a time. Until you wake up in a life that looks stable, but feels empty. Because deep down, you know you could have done more. You know you played small. And the worst part, no one forced you. You chose it. You chose safety. Again. And again. And again. There's a reason elite performers don't obsess over saving. They respect it, but they don't worship it. Because they understand something you've been conditioned to ignore. Money sitting still doesn't grow you. Movement does. Exposure does. Pressure does. When you invest in skills, experiences, opportunities, you're not just risking money. You're building capacity. You're expanding identity. You're forcing yourself to rise. But when you only save, you protect who you are. And who you are right now is limited. That's not an insult. It's reality. Every version of you has a ceiling, and the only way to break it is to step into something that challenges it. But that costs something. Time, energy, money, comfort. And that's exactly what you've been trying to avoid. So you stay where it's predictable, where nothing surprises you, where you can control the outcome. But control has a price. It kills possibility. It removes chaos. And chaos is where transformation lives. You don't grow in perfect conditions. You grow when things are uncertain, when you're stretched, when you're forced to adapt. But if your entire strategy is built around avoiding discomfort, you'll never reach the version of yourself that requires it. You'll just keep optimizing a smaller life, cleaner, safer, more stable, but smaller. And smaller lives feel manageable until you realize you've outgrown them. But now, you're trapped inside them, because the longer you stay safe, the harder it becomes to leave. Your tolerance for risk drops, your confidence weakens, your identity solidifies, I'm just someone who plays it safe. And once that belief sets in, you stop even considering bigger moves, because they don't feel like you. This is how people slowly disappear, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, ambitionally. They become spectators in their own life, watching others take risks, judging them, doubting them, secretly wishing they had the courage, but convincing themselves they're better off staying safe. And maybe they are, if the goal is comfort, but comfort has a ceiling, and once you hit it, there's nothing left. No excitement, no momentum, just maintenance, and maintenance is exhausting. Because you're constantly protecting what you've built, instead of expanding beyond it. That's the hidden cost of safety. It turns your life into something you have to defend, instead of something you get to explore. So let's flip the question. What is your saving actually costing you? Not financially, psychologically. What opportunities have you avoided? What risks have you delayed? What version of yourself have you kept on hold because you wanted to feel secure? And be honest, because this isn't about money, it's about identity. Are you someone who builds or someone who protects? Because you can't fully be both at the same time. At some point, you have to choose. Growth or comfort, expansion or control, becoming or maintaining. And the longer you hesitate, the more expensive that choice becomes. Not in dollars, in potential. Because time compounds too, just like money, except you can't save it. You can only spend it. And every day you spend playing safe is a day you didn't invest in becoming more capable, more confident, more dangerous in the best way. The kind of dangerous that creates, that builds, that moves forward even when it's uncomfortable. Because comfort isn't the goal, growth is. And growth always asks for something first. So here's the shift. Stop asking, how do I stay safe? Start asking, what is this safety costing me? Because once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing the patterns, the hesitation, the delays, the excuses dressed up as responsibility. And you'll feel it, that tension, that quiet voice saying, this isn't enough. Don't ignore that. That's not dissatisfaction. That's awareness. That's the part of you that knows you're capable of more. But it only gets louder when you stop numbing it with comfort. So maybe saving isn't the problem. Maybe it's just the shield you've been hiding behind. Because it lets you avoid the real question, what would you do if you weren't afraid to lose? Sit with that, because your answer is exactly where your next level lives. And the longer you delay it, the further it moves. Not because it disappears, but because you do. You drift further from the version of yourself that could have had it. And one day, you'll look back, not at what you lost, but at what you never even tried to gain. That's the regret no one talks about. Not failure, not mistakes, but hesitation. The chances you convinced yourself weren't worth it. The risks you never took. The life you almost lived. Almost. And almost. And almost doesn't feel safe. It feels empty. So the next time you tell yourself you're being smart, ask yourself, am I building a future or hiding from it? Because those are not the same thing. And confusing them is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. If this changed your perspective, subscribe. Because the next video might change your life.